This conference will now be recorded.
So in the other sections, we went ahead and discussed the end of day and we discussed the end of month. And in this video, what we're going to go ahead and discuss is the end of year. And just like how the end of month took the all unprocessed end of day post sets and combined them into one end of month post set, the end of year does something similar where that it takes the all previously processed end of year post sets and combines them into an end of year post set. So let's go ahead and take a look where we navigate to get to the end of year and then how we start creating that. So what we're going to go ahead and do first is we're going to go ahead and head over to the modules and then financial management. Within financial management, we're going to go up to functions and then the EOY cash book. So functions, EOY for end of year cash book. We're going to come up with the end of year selection screen. What's going to automatically be defaulted in is our cash book. So yours is going to be different here, and that's about it. We are going to get some search results here. So all of the end of year post sets that have been completed by your court, they will also be listed under this search results screen as well. If you do have a begin and end year date or where you guys are looking for a specific end of year post set, you're more than welcome to enter in the begin year and the end year here, and then hitting search. And then that should populate down here which of the end of years fall within that period. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and process an end of year. But what we're gonna do before that is we're gonna go ahead and process what we like to call a 13th month. A 13th month is processed at the same time as the end of year, but it's just done a little before that. What the 13th month does is it essentially will zero out your beginning balance. So as a court is processing their end of year and getting ready to start doing business in their new fiscal year, processing a 13th month will balance or zero out their starting amounts, their disbursement accounts. So that way, when they're starting off their new financial or their new fiscal year or their calendar year, whichever one your court does, we start off with a clean slate. So let's go ahead and jump into a 13th month first. So I just showed you guys here what the end of year selection screen looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to go and hit close here, and we're going to head into the end of days real quick, and we'll start from there. So we'll hit close once, go up to functions, end of day cash book. So what's going to happen, and then this is just a quick overview for the 13th month. What happens in a 13th month is that all we do is we take a single end of day post set that has not been receipted into. We're going to post that as final. We're going to process an end of month on that single end of day post set. That's going to be what we consider a 13th month, because in a typical calendar year, in a normal calendar year, we have 12 months. And so by processing an extra month in there, that gives us a 13th month. So we're going to go ahead and do that end of month. But first, I also want to show you guys some of the reporting that happens. So let's go ahead and go up to reports. What we're going to go ahead and do right here is we're going to generate an account balance listing report and a bank balance listing report. You know what? Backtrack a little bit. We're just going to do the account balance listing. All right. Apologize about that. So we're going to go ahead and select this one. We're going to go ahead and compare what the account balance looks like prior to doing the 13th month and then afterwards. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to select our bank account. We're going to go ahead and select our cash book. And what we're going to do is we're going to run this account balance listing on the previous end of month, which is June for us. So we're going to go over here to the end of EOP start date. Please bear in mind that I do go into more details about the account balance listing in the end of month video. So if you do have a couple questions or you feel that I didn't explain enough things about the ABL or anything like that, please refer back to the end of month video. So that way you can get caught up with a little bit of the technical terms that I use for this. So again, we're going to go with the EOP start date, and we're going to select our previous process end of month, because we just want to look at what these accounts look like at the point of processing this end of month. So we're going to select that. The end date will also be the same thing for the end of month of June. So once again, the EOP will be the same, will be off of the previously processed end of month post set. So we're going to choose to exclude those non-activity accounts, and we're going to print this to screen. Okay, we're going to hit OK and let that generate. So we'll go ahead and give it a sec here. All right, so we got our accounts up here. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this, and perfect. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is use the snipping tool that is native to Windows. So everyone should have this little snipping tool if you need it. So I'm going to use it in here just so that I don't have to actually print it. So now that I got a copy of what our ABL looks like prior to processing the 13th month, we're ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and explain those changes once we've completed that 13th month. Okay, so now we are back to the end of day post set. What we said what we're going to go ahead and do to process the 13th month is first process an end of day that has no receipts receipted into it. And how do we check that? By highlighting the post set, that end of day post set, and then selecting the third Dynalink maintenance, and then up at the very top of this screen and hitting search, we should get some type of message that says no records found for search criteria. Perfect. This lets us know that there are no receipts that have been receipted into this post set, and that's exactly what we want. Please bear in mind that when we're processing this 13th month, we cannot have a receipt in these post sets. So we are essentially processing in a day and in a month with no receipts in it. We're going to go ahead and hit OK on that. So that's what we wanted to do. We're going to go ahead and close once on this and then post this as final. So we're going to hit close once. We make sure that we have that post set selected. And we're going to go ahead and do Dynalink number 1 close posting set. It's going to ask us if we want to post the receipts to Cashbook. Yes, although we don't have any in there, so it should be relatively quick. It's going to go ahead and put that end of day Cashbook into Cashbook maintenance, or it's going to put that end of day post set into in Cashbook maintenance. That is perfect. It opens up a brand new post set for us to start receipting into. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is post this as final. So we're going to make sure that we highlight that end of day post set that's in Cashbook maintenance, and then hit Dynalink number 5 post. So this is going to tell us if we want to post it as final, and we're going to go ahead and say yes. If you have any questions, you're always more than welcome to hit no and look at a few things. But since we know that there are no receipts in this post set, we're ready to go. We're going to go ahead and post this as final. So we're going to hit yes. Awesome. So now that we have it posted as final, what we're going to do is take that next step and do an end of month on that single end of day post set with no receipts in it. So I'm going to go ahead and close up out of this screen. I'm back in financial management. I'm going to go up to functions and go into end of month Cashbook, or EOM Cashbook. So here we have our end of month for June. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is do another end of month for that end of day post set. So we're going to go to the left, Dynalink number 1. We're going to choose add record. End of period main screen will populate now. And so we're going to go ahead and select our Cashbook. I'm going to go ahead and do test. By default, it's going to go ahead and give us the date of the last unprocessed end of day post set. So end date, we're going to go ahead and hit the little gray box. The only available one to us right now is going to be that single end of day post set, which is what we wanted. So we're going to highlight that one, hit Dynalink number 1 for select, and bring that in. It's going to start processing all the end of days on the end of day post sets here. And since we only have one, it looks like it's done. Nothing is going to appear. It's going to look like nothing. It didn't do anything. But that's exactly what happened. Since there are no receipts to process, no money that went into any disbursement accounts, this end of month really doesn't show anything, which is what we're looking for. So in the comments, what we're going to go ahead and do is put 13th month, and I believe this is actually for I think it's like 2018 to 2019. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 2018. 13th month 2018. So once we know that no accounts, and that's another good way of checking that if there aren't any or if there are any receipts in that end of day post set. If you go into here and you process this 13th month and you see some accounts being listed down here in the disbursement section, then you know there's a receipt in that post set. So unfortunately, we won't be able to do the 13th month on that post set. So what we're going to go ahead and do is after we put in a little comment here and we verify that yes, we have done this end of month on the single end of day post set. There are no accounts that are coming in here, so no receipts have been receipted into it. We know we're all set to go, and we can go ahead and hit save. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and CourtView is now going to process this 13th month for us. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead, and this is letting us know about some open checks. We're just going to go ahead and hit continue on that. It's going to ask us if we want to go ahead and print out the report for the end of month, and we can just go ahead and go to screen just so I can show you guys as well. This report's just going to come out blank, and again, that's what we're looking for. We're processing no actual money. The purpose of the 13th month is to zero out your disbursement accounts and have a starting balance of 0. We're going to go ahead and hit close on there, and there we go. We have a new record showing for our end of months, this one being the 13th month, and if you look all the way to the right, we have a dispersed total of blank, and that's exactly what we're looking for. This is how we know that everything is going according to plan, and this is what we like to see. So let's go ahead and generate that account balance listing report one more time on this 13th month just to see what that looks like compared to the account balance listing that we generated for the end of month of June. So what we're going to go ahead and do is go back up to reports and choose the account balance listing. We're going to go ahead and select our bank account, and then we're going to choose our cash book. And we don't want these start dates because, again, like I mentioned in the end of month video, this is based off of the end of day cash books or the end of day post sets. And we want to run this on the 13th month. So we go down here to the EOP start date, hit the little gray box, and again, we're going to run this one on the 13th month. Hit select, same thing for the end date. We're going to choose the 13th month, hit select. And then we're just going to send this one over to the screen. Awesome. All right. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to scroll down just a bit here. Hopefully it's not too much. I'm trying to get it perfectly here. All right. So the one in the background right here is going to be our 13th month. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our, let's see. This right here, this bottom one, is the end of month for June. So hopefully, perfect. There we go. Okay, so these are the sections that I really wanted to show. So as I described earlier in the, I believe it was the end of month video, I described how the beginning balance is simply the end of balance, which is here, that's carried over from the previous month. So this one back here is the 13th month, and this one at the bottom is going to be the end of month for June. So what we're seeing here is that this beginning balance is now being carried over from the end of month ending balance for May. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the ending balance is going to be what the ending balance was for this month. This ending balance will be carried over. And again, this bottom one here, the end of month for June. So as you can see, this ending balance of 241.29, it gets carried over into our beginning balance for the 13th month. And it will continuously do that every month. Every month, it's just going to carry over the balance from the previous month into a beginning balance for the next month. By doing this 13th month and processing no receipts, which shows here, we didn't receive any money during that 13th month. So that means that our ending balance is also going to be 0. This tells me that when we process the end of month for the first month of our new calendar or fiscal year, the beginning balance for that one is going to be 0. And since the beginning balance is 0, we have our accounts now all zeroed out. So this allows the courts to start off their new year essentially with a clean slate. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of these ones right here. So hopefully that does make sense in knowing that just by doing the 13th month, since the receipts head over to the ending balance, this ending balance is now going to carry over to the beginning balance in the month of July whenever we process that end of month. So I'm going to minimize that and I'm going to close that. So now that we've processed our 13th month, we still have to go ahead and process our end of year. So let's go ahead and hit close one time on the end of period selection screen. That's going to bring us back to the main screen for financial management. We're going to head up to functions and now go back into the end of year cash book, or the EOY cash book. So functions, EOY cash book. And what we're going to go ahead and do is on the left, we're going to hit the first Dynalink. We're going to hit add record. So same thing, it's pretty similar to what we saw in the end of month screen, except for this one's the end of year maintenance screen. What we got to do is select our cash book. So hit the drop down menu, select book. Begin date is automatically going to be defaulted in because 12/9/13 was the very last end of month that was not processed in this test environment. So ideally in your guys' course, this begin date will either be, I believe, January 1st, or if you are on calendar year, or if you're on fiscal year, then this one will end up being July 1st. So the end date is still blank. That's again giving us an option to select when the end date is going to be. It's not going to assume that you want to select the very last end of month post set. We're going to go ahead and hit the gray box here. And now we're given an option of selecting up to when we want this end of year to finish on. We want to go ahead and include the 13th month that we just processed. So we're going to highlight the 13th month and hit select. A little side note, if your court does not do the 13th month, which some of them do not, you would be selecting the end of month for June or whenever your year ends. There are some courts that still do calendar year, and there are others that do fiscal year. So depending on when your end of year ends, that'll be the end of month that you select for the end date on the end of year. So for us, we're going to choose the 13th month, and we're going to hit Dynalink number 1 for select. CoreView is going to be doing some thinking. Down here, you will see that it is processing the end of month. Bear in mind that when you guys are doing yours, you're going to have much larger data to process. So this may take a lot longer for you guys. It taking a long time is nothing abnormal. It's totally okay for the system to take its time to process all that data. So there we go. We have all of our accounts showing here. If you guys had processed your end of month, all of these accounts are going to be 0 except for a holding account. Here we have the bill holding, which is showing some amount, but that's only because we do have some money still sitting in that holding account. If you do not do your end of, or you do a 13th month, then you're going to see some type of amounts here in the ending balance. But since this is a test court and the court number for this test environment is 1A, that's all we're going to see up at the very top. Bear in mind also that when you're doing the end of month, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to about the middle of it. I'm going to let go. There we go. So what we're seeing here now is that the system is going to show you every single disbursement, not even all the accounts. These are all the accounts that exist in CoreView, not only for just your court. It's going to show them for all the courts in CoreView that we have. So, but the important thing to remember is the balances are going to be 0. Although you're going to be seeing some other courts accounts, that doesn't mean that you guys had some money going into there. It's just showing, it's basically working by design. It's just going to list all those accounts. So down here, you're going to see an ending balance total. This is just going to be what's sitting in your, what's the ending balance for those accounts. If you did the 13th month, those will be 0. So you'll probably only see some money sitting inside of a holding account. If a 13th month is not, you could expect this to be probably a little bit more just because some of those accounts are going to have ending balances now. So what we can go ahead and do now is if everything looks good, we can go ahead and start putting in our comments for end of year 2018. And once we have confirmed that our end date is correct, which is here, we know that all of our accounts are zeroed out. We just have a couple of holding accounts that actually have some money in there. Everything looks good. We can then go ahead and proceed to hit save. So let's go ahead and hit save, and it's going to start doing a little bit of thinking. Now what's going to happen next is the system's going to ask us if we want to print out a report. This is exactly what it's asking here. Please bear in mind that this report, you are more than, if you would like to print out the report to keep for your guys' records, you're more than welcome to. This report is a 32-page report, and it's going to list all of those accounts in there. So not all of them are going to be for your guys' court. So a lot of that information is just going to be kind of redundant. It's not going to be necessary for your guys' end of year reporting. So sometimes we are going to tell you guys that you guys don't need to print it out, but if you guys like to keep them for your records, by all means, go ahead and print them out. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel on this print job. And once we do that, it's going to take us back to the end of year selection screen. And it's going to go ahead and list our new end of year. If you guys are doing your end of year every year, these numbers will align with what year you guys are processing. Unfortunately, in the test environment, we don't keep up with the end of years, especially for the test courts. So it's saying that we just did a 2013 end of year. I'm going to go ahead and hit close on that, and that right there is how you process your end of year. Let's go ahead and just summarize what we just did. What we did is we went into end of day cash book. We went ahead and processed a single end of day post set with no receipts, posted that one as final. Then we went into end of month cash book. We processed a 13th month on a single end of day post set with no receipts in it. And once that was processed, we looked at the ABL and the BBL, or the ABL for the month, for the end of month of June. And then we looked at the ABL for the 13th month. And there we were able to see how the system actually zeroes out the disbursement accounts and creates a zero starting balance for the new year, whether that be fiscal or calendar. Once we processed that 13th month, we went into functions, end of year, and quote unquote 2018 end of year post set. We see a lot of accounts in there, but I said that it's going to do that. I also talked about how the report for this one is going to be about 32 pages. You're more than welcome to print that out if you like. And if you don't, that's okay too. That right there is the summary and how we go ahead and process the end of year in CourtView.